Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Root today, because I know it's probably painful when you see the stock falling all the way to $90, almost 26% loss today in this. So I want to talk a little bit about Root and see if we can figure out what's going on with the company. Okay, so first of all, I want you to take a look at this red candle that shows up right here, right? So let's go back to this area. This is the last time it happened right here. And look at the price. Okay. And now we have a large red candle here once again. And look at the price. Okay, so it's almost the same price you can see. So I have a feeling that this should actually hold up and we should start to see some bounce. Whenever we have such a large candle, usually means some big institutional investor got out, and that's what's putting the pressure on the stock. Now, sometimes we see, large green candles. So you can see, what happened uh, right here, right? So this was a big institutional investor getting in. Right here was another time when institutional investor got in, and then up here. So there has been, a lot of times when they work in our favor and drives the price up, but sometimes it doesn't work in our favor either. So you can see the usually, around here the stock had a really good floor. You see that, like, stock typically bounces back. So technically speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if the stock bounces back. And the other thing is, if you take a look, it's been consolidating in this price range right here between 180 to 90 for a while now. So that's also a good thing. Like, before it will have another breakout, it might consolidate a little bit. But I got back into Root today because I think this price looks a little bit attractive here, and then hopefully it should go up. And go up from here. So now let's take a look what actually happened with Root today. Okay, so what have I found in their report that might tell me a little bit about what's happening with the stock right now? So a couple of things, that you can actually find in Q2 a letter. One, they're obviously going to have this known cash expense. Most likely, they are going to issue more stocks. That means the shareholders are going to get diluted. And normally, when that happens, the stock goes down. I've talked about that many times. So that's something coming. So, stock is already reacting to it because that information is available. And second thing, company is saying, look, we are going to invest in the back half of 2025 in our business, meaning the expense is going to grow. Now, Root has told many times in the past, and if you read their shareholder letters, is that a Root typically upfronts the acquisition cost and show that. What that means is, sometimes what company will do is they will say, look, if I'm going to spend $10,000 or 12, let's just say if I spend $12,000 to acquire one customer, I'm going to divide that cost over the 12 months. That means $1,000 a month. So that way it looks better on the numbers. But Root doesn't do that. They're going to spend more money to acquire more customers in the back half of 2025. And I can understand why. And the reason why they need to do that is because if you take a look at their partnership business, mostly from Carvana, that has been really success for them. I think it is um, triple now. So that's a problem. I mean, this company really needs to find more ways to grow their business. So that's another reason why, the uh, a big investor might have decided to get out of the stock. So that's problem number two. But more importantly, you need to go back to the shareholder letter of Q1 to better understand what's going to happen. So in Q1, they said, look, we're going to spend more and we're going to have less margins in the back half of the year. So okay, so we already know that. So they said that in Q1, that was already priced in, and now they're saying it again in Q2. So that means in Q3 and Q4 we can expect margins to shrink. That means the profitability can come under pressure. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is, if you take a look at the growth in the Q2, they're saying that the growth is 12%. Let me pull that up. I think I saw that here. Okay, here it is. See, policies in force grew by 12% year over year. Now, the problem is, if you go back to Q1, I think they had promised that this is going to grow by, I think, 30, 40%. Yeah, I think 25%, sorry, was the exact number. So they were saying it's going to grow at 25%, but it has grown 12%. So that obviously is telling that the growth is slowing down. So that's another reason. So growth is slowing down, margins are getting compressed. That's a problem, right? And um, loss ratio, that's okay, not that big of a deal at this point. It's still okay. Partnership, like I said, partnership is growing, which is great, but they need to figure out what they're going to do long term. So that's a problem. And I think the stock price of Root, if you put 140, 150, 160, if the company is growing 40%, I can justify it. But if that growth slows down to 12 or 15%, then that PE is just not justifiable, especially when the margins are shrinking. So so those are the issues. Most likely margins going to shrink. Most likely, they are going to spend more money because they want to acquire more customers. So now the stock has come to more reasonable valuation. Now you can buy the stock, what, for $90. Okay. The question is, where do we go from here? At the end of the day, generally speaking, I think car business is still going to be good, especially now that EV mandate is gone. So people are going to go back to those gas cars. So I think Carvana is have a tailwind, and you can always track Carvana. They've been keep selling more and more cars. So because this partnership is so strong, I think they're going to continue to have some good income from there in the near term as well. Second thing is, don't forget that now we have this tax policy where business owners can write off their entire purchases for cars, right? As for the bonus depreciation for most cars. I shouldn't say all cars, but most cars. And again, depends on your situation, uh, but I think that's going to also drive a lot of purchase in the car market as well. That's also going to help Root in general as well. So I think they also have a lot of tailwinds, and like what the company said, like, this problem is temporary. So if you're a long-term investor, then you need to stick around, or I mean, I think the risk in this company is a lot less today than it was last week. So price is a little bit more reasonable. I still don't really know how much they're going to spend. If I knew that, then we can kind of really come up with an idea, because company already told us that the growth has slowed down to 12%. Now, uh, you can say, hey, if it slowed down from 25 to 12, can it go from 12 to nothing next quarter? Well, company didn't really say that. So we cannot justify that at this point. So that's out. The only thing we do know is that the expense is going to grow and the margin going to come down. So I think next statement might surprise us a little bit. So that's why the stock is already reacting to it. And companies do that. They want you to know that, so that way the expectations are straight. So if the stock rises back to 150, that is rising with that expectation in place. Versus if they didn't share this information with us, if they didn't tell us that that is what's really happening, and then stock goes, let's say, from 140 to 200, and then it just crashes down to 100, that would be devastating for the company. So at least they're being honest, what's happening in the business. But at the end of the day, we still don't have enough information to come up with a good judgment call as to what happens. So I would say be a little bit more prudent. I wouldn't really take too much risk. I'll be, you know my if you well, I'm gonna probably make this video public, so many of you guys watching this might not know it. But if you're part of the coaching program, you already know how I talk about risk management and how do you deal with those kind of issues. Uh, so there you go. That hopefully that helps you understand what happened with the Root today.